Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. It seems Labour's push for net zero is going to drive up energy bills massively. In fact, by many billions of pounds. This is because they're over relying on wind energy, which is all very fine and pleasant when the wind is blowing just right. But when wind is blowing too hard, they have to turn them off. Thus, they're not generating any energy whatsoever. And when the wind isn't blowing at all, well, they're not generating any energy whatsoever. So most of the times that these things exist, they're actually not producing the requirement. And of course, there's no way of storing this energy. There's no mass wind storage option. It's not like coal, where it's stored in a chemical form and needed when burnt. It's not like nuclear. You just push it in and remove a control rod or whatever as and when you need it. It's not like gas. We literally turn off the pipe until you need it. Wind, it produces or it doesn't produce, and that's it. But this is a massive investment, and when the wind isn't blowing, those things still need to be paid for. And how are they paid for? Well, you and me and 66 million other people in this country will be forced to pay even when they aren't working, simply because the companies installing them demand their profits. Genius idea, isn't it? It's almost as though you're deliberately setting this country up to fail. It's almost as though you're looking at all the natural resources we've got and say, screw them, let's just make sure Britons are thrown into energy poverty forever. That way we can control them. Screw all the oil, screw all the gas, screw all the coal. Let's rely on untested, uneconomic power that only works part of the time and which will lead to much higher prices and, of course, regular power cuts. That's what you get when you vote for morons. Only this isn't stupidity. This is deliberate. They know in advance that these things will happen. Energy Watch, which is a big energy sort of consortium. It's called Net Zero Watch. This big energy consortium that looked at these things has analysed everything and has told the Labour government in advance of what they're doing, and yet the Labour government are still pushing ahead with it. Now, if you truly want clean, reliable, permanent energy, nuclear. So why aren't they pushing for 36 nuclear power stations? That's the number of nuclear power stations you need to run the fleet of electric cars in this country. That, of course, is before you look at what industry needs. And, of course, going forward, what 20 million, 30 million all electric houses will need. In total, it'll be somewhere in the region of 200 nuclear power stations will be needed to run Britain if you want to run it clean. Wind's no good, and it's not sunny enough, and the clouds are there, and it doesn't work at night. Anyone who thinks that you can run Britain on renewables is a moron. It literally cannot happen. And the physics back this up. And yet Starmer is pushing it, and he's setting up GB Energy. And you know what all this is, don't you? It's a way of taking public money and handing it into private individuals. It's a way of stealing from the people and creating the billionaires that will rule over us forever. Unless we say no. Unless we take every billionaire there is and basically string them up and take their money back and say, no, we will have people controlling this nation, not one or two individual billionaires with their fingers on the choke points. Because that's what this is. And then you get Miliband going, yes, let's take all this farmland and completely destroy it forever and poison the ground and fill it with solar cells that only work about 20% of the time and which have an efficiency rating of about 8%. So for the 20% of the time when the sun's in the right place and is the right amount of sun for these things to work, only 8% efficiency on those solar farms. Do you know what the efficiency is on a nuclear power station? It's up there in the high 70s. And it runs all the time, 24/7. Weird. Why aren't they pushing this? Why is Miliband so so upset at the idea of Britain having enough farmland that he wants to permanently poison the soil, because that's what happens with these things. The soil and the control stuff, and it all goes in. It permanently destroys the control. You can never grow crops there again for something that won't work. You have to ask why this is deliberately being done, because it is deliberate. He knows. He knows. They are deliberately doing this to us, and we're letting them. Pitchforks and burning torches, I think. We're 3 weeks into a Labour government. They're putting the taxes up, they're fucking our energy supply, and they're going to starve us out. And they know they're doing it. We know they're doing it. And it isn't accidental, it's deliberate. We have to make choices as a nation. I think a choice is coming very, very quick. And it isn't going to be good for socialism. Thanks a lot. Bye.